haters and fanatics. Perhaps there were some in the crowd. Far more important, though, was the very presence of so many everyday Americans protesting in Washington. What did Barack Obama and his party's leadership on Capitol Hill do to bring doctors and truck drivers together in common cause on the streets of the nation's capital? More than anything, these people are afraid that the new president is running the country off a cliff, close quote. So hundreds of thousands of Americans congregated on the Washington Mall, chanted some slogans, listened to speeches criticizing excessive government spending, and then went home without incident. And what did they get for their trouble? They were denounced as racists, threats to our democracy, and would-be Lee Harvey Oswalds. Why have these painfully polite, terribly typical people, folks who look less like bomb throwers and more like the early bird special crowd at a Denny's in Branson, Missouri, come under constant assault from the elite media, the Washington establishment, and the Obama administration? What makes my mom such a threat? Like I said, she's normal. And in Barack Obama's America, normal is the new freak. America, Obama's little green acre. In the Obama era, normal, bitter, clingy Americans, you're probably one of them, are under assault. The Obama elites are engaged in a coordinated campaign of character assassination designed to redefine your values into venalities and to transform traditional American character strengths into shameful flaws. You don't want to pay higher taxes and you think hard work should be rewarded? You're unpatriotic. You don't understand how the solution to a disastrous economy caused by massive debts, spending, and bailouts is to add trillions in new debts, spending, and bailouts? That's because you're dumb. You don't like your tax dollars being used to reward scammers who bought $500,000 homes on $55 incomes? You're unfair, heartless, and, of course, racist. Always racist, or some variation like bigoted or hateful. This has been the left's reaction to Tea Partiers since the movement first began. On April 16, 2009, one day after the movement took full force with hundreds of Tea Parties staged nationwide, left-wing activist Janine Garofalo went on Keith Olbermann's Countdown to explain what the movement was really about. Having seen masses of Americans turn out on tax day to protest the government's fiscal irresponsibility, Garofalo drew a strange conclusion. Quote, "This is about hating a black man in the White House," she proclaimed. "This is racism straight up. That is nothing but a bunch of teabagging rednecks," close quote. The accusation of racism is now the alpha and omega of American politics. Loyal Obots, those fawning, unthinking followers of the president, play the race card in every discussion and every debate. Obama's Senate consigliere, Harry Reid, even compared opponents of the Democrats' health care reform to defenders of slavery. So if you ladies don't want a nanny government agency deciding if you can have a mammogram, you might as well put your hood back on because Harry Reid has figured you out. Stupid, backward, bigoted, racist. You've probably been called all of this and more, all by people who simultaneously decry partisanship and divisiveness. And if you're like my mom, then you kept quiet for a while. You're not a political activist. You're not a talk show host or TV big mouth. You're just a normal American. You're just a citizen, a taxpayer, a parent. Then one day, you had enough. You got tired of the attacks on private enterprise. Or maybe you didn't like seeing the government saddle your children and grandchildren with unsustainable debts. Or perhaps you just got sick of the Obama-era theme that being American always means having to say you're sorry, that you should be ashamed for just being you. So you finally did something. It was probably something small, like writing your congressman or calling into a talk show or slapping a bumper sticker on the cubicle wall asking, "How's that hope and change working out for you?" And that's when it happened. That's when you found out just how big this fight is and that you are in it. That's the day you became a hater. Then you went to a tea party and you really crossed the line. Every morning the newspaper calls you a dangerous, hate-filled kook. Every night the TV news declares you an ignorant, potentially violent redneck. And in between, political pundits and even politicians denounce you with juvenile insults like teabagger. Taxpayer-funded National Public Radio even graced its website with an animated attack on the movement titled "Learn to Speak Teabag." Because they're so much smarter than you, of course. It's an endless barrage that has average Americans asserting that maybe it's time to take our country back, only to be told that liberals have declared this phrase a hate crime. The nonstop attacks even have everyday people questioning their own sanity. At least that's what's happened to my mom. I've watched these people on TV claim